Opportunity Calls with Ellen Volpe is sponsored by LongIsland.com.
Joining me today is Joe Apfelbaum, CEO of AJAX Union.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Joe is a business mentor, leader, direct marketing guru, extraordinary networker, educator, public speaker, entertainer, and one extraordinary human being, leading, teaching, and inspiring everyone he touches. There's one thing you're known for, mojovation?
Mojovation, yeah.
Mojovation. You're a muse. You're extremely high energy. And I really have, my first major question for you is, how do you stay motivated?
Well, I want to serve hungry entrepreneurs to go from frustration to mojovation. I want people that are feeling a lack of power, people that are feeling a lack of freedom, a lack of vitality, to be able to realize that they have everything around them that they need. So when I see somebody have a breakthrough, when somebody has a breakdown and I can support them through a little more awareness, a little more strategy, a little more accountability to create that breakthrough in their life, I myself get inspired. So I'm on a mission to serve hungry entrepreneurs to go from frustration to motivation, because that's what inspires me. That's what feeds me. And that's what makes me feel alive.
What do you recommend to those distracted by the tumultuous times, those people that are actually having a hard time staying motivated?
Well, what I recommend to people is to take a deep breath. You know, stress, and a lot of people are feeling very stressful, especially in today's day with the pandemic and everything that's going on, is inevitable when there are things that change. When we get out of our comfort zone, we feel pain. And when we try to push that pain away and not feel the pain, we create resistance. And resistance creates more persistence and more pain. And so the more you fight, the more you argue, the more you say, this can't change. Don't take my business away. Don't change my life. I can't use Zoom, or whatever it is, the more stress a person's going to create and the more suffering and pain they're going to feel. And that pressure is there for a reason. The reason we feel frustration, the reason we feel loneliness, sadness, or whatever it is, it's for us to learn from it, for us to observe it. So when I tell people that are feeling these feelings that are disempowering, I say, stop judging them and stop saying, this shouldn't be. I shouldn't be here. I should be much further along. No. Instead, just be with it and realize that wherever you are right now is exactly where you need to be. And if you can just be in the now, all that pain, all that frustration, all that loneliness, all that stuff will flow through you instead of hold you back from allowing you to get to the next step. Failure is inevitable. Failure is just another stepping stone to get to success. Ask any successful person that achieved anything great. They had to take the stairs. There was no escalator. There was no elevator. They tried, and the elevator broke down. They tried. And so what I tell people is, stop trying to get the shortcuts. Stop trying to get rich quick. Stop trying to lose weight fast. Stop trying to fall in love. Love is not a hole you fall into. It's something you co-create with somebody else by having a conscious relationship, a conscious partnership, and know that there's going to be a power struggle sometimes. Know that there's going to be breakdowns. But if you can respect, reset, repair, you can change your life. You can transform from what you were before, which was lack of awareness, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, to a person who's a little more conscious. And when you create that, you start seeing the possibility to have more enjoyment and more enthusiasm. Who doesn't want to have more enthusiasm for life?
I can't help but think about the word energy and the resonating of energy. It's something that I believe in, that sometimes you cannot see what's coming. And I think to your point, you have to sort of be where you are, trust that the things that are supposed to appear will appear when it's time and not a minute before.
Yeah, and as a networking master, you know this. You know this. You see this in real time. The manifestation of your goals, the manifestation of your purpose happens when you stop pushing your agenda. When you walk into a networking event and you're with an agenda and like, I want to close deals and I want referrals and blah, 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 and you become this taker or this giver, but only if you're a taker, only if you get, you're going to give. that doesn't work because there's more resistance. There's more pushing. When you stop the pushing, things start flowing. And sometimes they'll flow to you. Sometimes they'll flow away from you. But if you just enjoy the flow, instead of trying to be the dancer, be the dance. Be the dance. Just enjoy life, breathe, take a deep breath. So many people are trying to fix the problems that they created, and every problem you have right now is a problem that you created because you decided it's a problem one day. So every problem that you have, you created, and you're trying to fix the problems with the same thinking, the same logic that you created the problem. And that's never going to work. Albert Einstein said, you got to change your thinking and you got to change it to the degree that it's no longer about thinking, it's more about being. There's a difference between experiencing and doing. There's a difference between experiencing and thinking. So if we can just literally stop stressing out by taking a deep breath and experiencing our breath for the very first time and really experiencing it, suddenly we're going to experience oxygen. We're going to experience life, and we're going to experience the present, the ultimate gift of the present, the ultimate gift of the present, which is the now. And most of us are living in the past with resentment, anger, lack of forgiveness, or in the future, worried that you're not going to get what you want to get and attracting the wrong things because you have too much fear that you're not going to get, FOMO. So you end up attracting all those things. So if you want to attract the things that you actually desire, you want to attract the things that make you alive, take a moment and pause. Hit the pause button. Don't hit the stop button. Don't stop doing, but pause so you can do things from a higher level of consciousness. That's what I want people to be more aware of. Instead of just doing things because of your ego, because you want to feel good or because you're afraid, do things out of love. Do things because you're a giver. Do things because you want to connect with other people.
You did touch on something that's close to my heart, and that's the networking. And I know that you have your own meetup group, and not only that, you train people on the topic, and you are an incredible connector yourself. And I'm just wondering, you did start to touch on this concept, but the advice of giving, of being curious, of opening yourself up to help other people, is something that still is difficult for certain individuals who basically are linear thinkers looking for transactional business. And I'm just wondering, what would your advice be to people who are still struggling with this idea?
I would love people that are very transactional to ask themselves, why are you transactional? What's going on with you? What are you afraid of? Because if you're transactional, that means you're not loving unconditionally. Anyone that's in a relationship that breaks down is because there's a lack of unconditional love. If both parties loved each other unconditionally, there would be no conditions, and you'd be able to respect, repair, reset, start over, and really love each other consciously. The problem is when you have conditions. Oh, I will only love you if you're a good child. I will only love you if you're a good spouse. I will only love you if you're a good father or a good mother, or you fit into my rules. When you create rules in life that I will only network and I will only get success if it's on my terms, then the laws of the universe are not going to be aligned with your ego, because ultimately ego is fear. If you're afraid that you're not going to get something, it's because you are holding on to some role or some way that things are supposed to be. And nature, the world, human beings don't care about your agenda. There is an agenda, and that agenda is whatever you want the agenda to be, or you can just tap into the natural agenda of the universe, which is growth, which is enjoyment, which is enthusiasm, which is freedom, which is being all in. And so I tell that person, boom, take it easy.
Yeah, not so easy for certain individuals. I find that the linear thinkers are looking for linear solutions, and they don't sort of travel out to the edges where those opportunities exist. But because of their level of thinking, they're not able to see those things as they occur. And they're missed opportunities in most cases.
Missed opportunities happen when you are tapped into your fear instead of tapping into your love. Ask yourself, am I doing this from fear because I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I deserve or what I need to get? Or ask yourself, am I doing this from a place of love where I really want to be all in? And most people, when they join a networking event, if they're transactional, if they're linear thinking, they're not all in. They're not giving their 100%. Mm-hmm. Being all in means that you are there fully and totally. Being present, being in the now, not worried, oh, should I really be here? Is this good enough? There's a lack of commitment. And I think that's what it is. There's a lack of commitment to giving, of being in a state of love. And I think when people are missing that commitment and they don't have awareness around it, it's a blind spot that most people can't see. And sometimes you need a facilitator like you to make somebody see that. Now, some people are not coachable, which means they are not giving anyone permission to coach them. Coaching without permission is criticism. Your ego will take any advice that it gets as criticism if it didn't give you that permission, if it doesn't fit into the rule of I allow you to coach me. So that's why whenever I begin coaching anybody or mentoring anybody, I ask them, do I have permission? And often when a person is more transactional, they will say, absolutely not. Who the hell do you think you are to tell me how to do business? And I said, I'm nobody. I don't know how to tell you anything. And that's why I'm not going to be giving you any advice today.
Yeah.
And then we move on.
Great perspective. I mean, your wisdom speaks to so much experience that I know you have to speak from. I'm Ellen Volpe, and we'll be right back.
Opportunity Calls with Ellen Volpe is presented by ABA, American Business Associates. To learn more about ABA, visit aba-ny.com.
So, Joe, I'd like to take a few minutes and speak about your business. I'm very curious as to what made you go into business for yourself and to learn a little bit more about what the business actually does.
I wrote on LinkedIn today, I said 20 years ago, okay, because I'm 41, 20 years ago, I learned how to build websites. 20 years ago, I remember telling my mother, Ma, how am I going to make a living? You sent me to yeshiva. I have no idea how to make money. I saw you struggle as an entrepreneur. My mother tried to build her business for many years, and eventually her business went out of business. She was like 96% of businesses that can't get over the $1 million mark. So she got very emotional, got me in the car. We drove to the library, and she said, go into that library. And in that library, you're going to be able to learn anything that you want to learn. She said, formal education is going to make you a living. But you're not the type of person that wants to make a living. You want to make a fortune. So go in there and do something else called self-education. And you're going to be able to learn anything that you want to learn. So with my curiosity, I went in and I got a book on computers, and I became an expert at fixing computers, building websites. And I kind of taught myself how to do that. And I was doing it for fun. I was all in and just enjoying the process. People started coming to me and saying, Joe, build me websites. So for the next decade or so, I was just building websites for people. I got a full-time job. I was just doing this on the side for fun, building about 100 websites a year for people. And it was just a fun thing to do. I was making a good living off it, but it was a fun thing to do. What I also noticed is that people would complain to me. They had a major complaint. They say, if you build it, they will come. I build it for them, and nobody came. And so I had to figure out this thing called marketing, because I didn't know what marketing really was. I wasn't brought up in advertising or anything. So I started researching search engine optimization. And I became an expert at reverse engineering Google's algorithm by learning from other mentors online, by reading books about it, and by testing it out with my own experience. I found another partner. I wanted to start another business. I found another partner who also wanted to start a marketing agency. So he said, let's do this together and call it AJAX Union. AJAX Union stands for Alan, Joe, and X. It's a union, a partnership between me, my partner, and the customer. And so we decided we were going to launch an SEO business that provided search engine optimization for small businesses. And in the first year, we still didn't even come up with that concept. We were just doing general marketing. But eventually, when we came up with that, we realized that a lot of people were excited about that. A lot of customers wanted to sign up to it. So at that point, I was working full-time for a watch business, and they were doing about $40 million a year in revenue. And I had a very, very good job, really good benefits. There was no reason for me to leave. And the CEO was my mentor, and he loved coaching me on my side businesses. I had 7 different side hustles. One of them was AJAX Union. And so one day my partner is like, listen, we have 30 customers. We already have half a dozen employees. Why don't you come work full time? I can already replace your salary from the business that you're getting right now. So I said, cool, let me go speak to my CEO and see what his advice is. I went in, I set up a meeting with him. We sat together and I said, listen, my partner, he's like, how's AJAX Union doing? I said, the business is taking off because my partner got fired a few months ago. He's doing it full time now and the business is really taking off. He wants me to come be the CEO. He's like, Joe, you helped me grow this company from 3 million to 40 million in revenue. I want to see you do the same thing for your company. I want to see you be your own CEO. So go work for yourself and I'll become your biggest client. So I sold my IT business. I sold my Sukkah business. I rolled in all the other companies into AJAX Union. And then boom, we started taking off. We grew to be one of the fastest growing companies in the US, 1 million, 2 million, 4 million, just growing. We had 75 full-time people and I had no idea how to run a business. I had no formal training. I was trained to be a rabbi. I taught myself how to build computers and fix websites and then market myself. I was an SEO expert. I was reverse engineering algorithms. But culture? Forget about it. I had no idea what that was. So I had to learn how to do that. And through that process of understanding business, I had to understand myself. Because Jim Rohn says that you could only grow your business as much as you grow yourself. So while I was growing my top line, I was not growing my bottom line. Instead, I was gaining 10 pounds every year from stress. So at one point, I was 265 pounds. That's very heavy for a guy that's 5'10", very heavy. And I was morbidly obese and I was eating fast food and smoking cigarettes and all this other stuff. And I was not fulfilled. I was making good money, but I was not feeling energized. I was not feeling fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was making an impact. So I had to transform myself in order for me to transform my business and for me to be the human being. You know, I was afraid of networking. I was afraid of public speaking. I was afraid of writing. I was afraid of social media. If you look at my images from 2009 on Facebook, I have a picture of a cheetah as my profile photo. I was hiding behind info at ajaxunion.com. I didn't want anyone to know I was the CEO. But that's changed once I was featured on Fox Business Network and the Wall Street Journal. And, you know, I started getting interviews and I was like, oh my God, I got to figure this out.
Fantastic story. Fantastic. This is Opportunity Calls and we'll be right back.
American Business Associates is New York Metro's premier business development and networking association. To learn more about ABA, visit aba-ny.com.
You're also a LinkedIn expert. And I know that you train people, and most people don't seem to have a strategy, me included. And I'm just wondering if you could share a few simple things that people might do just to sort of start where they're standing and not feel so overwhelmed with, you know, a whole big program.
Energy without strategy is a waste of time. A lot of people are doing things. They're doing random acts of networking, random acts of marketing. They're confusing networking and prospecting. They don't understand how LinkedIn works, and they're not getting results. You can't just show up and throw up and hope that something happens. I always say, instead of showing up and throwing up, show up and follow up. So if you have the right follow-up strategy, if you understand how to get exposure, how to get credibility, and how to have conversations, you're going to be able to leverage LinkedIn like you can leverage any other networking event. LinkedIn has over 700 million professionals. It's the most successful social network around because it targets the most successful people. There are more millionaires on LinkedIn than on Facebook and Instagram combined. And if people pick a platform from a networking standpoint, yes, if you want to be social, talk about the F word, the friends, the family, the food, all the stuff, that's Facebook. Even politics now has an F word in it. But LinkedIn is not about that. LinkedIn is about building real relationships with people and connecting, being inspirational, doing business, networking. Think about your mindset when you're on LinkedIn, but most people don't have a strategy. Tony Robbins always says, he's a big mentor of mine, he always says, the right strategy will save you a decade. And he says, oh, I'm not a coach, I'm a life strategist. That's what he says. And one of the things that I learned about myself is watching my mother in her stories, she always relied on luck. She always bought me a lotto ticket on my birthday. She was always trying to get lucky. And the luck is the opposite of strategy. Luck means that you just want things just to happen on their own. So I believe that luck is important, of course, but luck will only manifest itself if you have the right strategy to be able to leverage the luck that you have. You know, we're all lucky that we're born, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have a great life just because we were born. You have to be strategic around how you make your life great by having the ideal day, the right morning routine, by understanding what meditation and journaling is, by developing yourself, because otherwise you're just going to have habits that are created by your circumstance. So when I tell people about LinkedIn, you have habits right now. What are your habits on LinkedIn? Going on the feed. That doesn't help you because you're just a consumer. I want you to be a creator. So in our LinkedIn program, because a lot of people can't afford the services at AJAX Union, our target clients are B2B companies that are doing over $10 million a year in annual sales, that have a sales team and a marketing director, and we build funnels for them right now. That's our focus. But at Evergreen, which is our second company, that company focuses on helping coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs learn how to properly use LinkedIn. So we have videos and frameworks, and we do coaching, and we have a whole community where they can find other people that are engaged on LinkedIn. So if you don't have a strategy right now, that's okay. Just know that if you don't learn it from somebody, and if you don't have the right frameworks, the right dashboards, the right automation, the right things to say, the right ways to get exposure, you're going to spin your wheels for quite some time until you figure it out. So what I always tell people, and I used to be very against coaches and courses. I used to say, oh, if that guy's a coach, they must not know how to grow a business. That's what I used to say to myself. Now I realize that every athlete has a coach. If you don't invest in yourself, you're not going to grow. So I tell people you have to invest in yourself. That's the only way for you to learn this strategy so that it can save you a decade.
So Joe, again, for those people that are feeling overwhelmed, potentially from what it is you just pointed out, no strategy, sort of adrift, is there something for those people that have not taken the class and that don't really have the focus or the time or attention on a daily basis? Are there one or two things that you could say to those people?
Yeah, so step number one is you have to have a strategy, which means understanding what your goals are, making sure that you have the right target market, and then making sure that you have messaging created for that target market. Okay, so that's step number one, is having a strategy. People overcomplicate having a strategy. The second thing that I tell people that's important besides having a strategy is getting the right assets in place. So understanding what are your stories, understanding what is the content that you need to be producing, both content that goes out to the general public and content that goes to people one-on-one. And then making sure that you have the right presence. They say that your LinkedIn profile is more important than your website, because if I Google your name, chances are your LinkedIn profile will come up first. And the first thing that somebody does when they want to do business with you, or when they want to do monkey business with you, they go on Google and they search you up. And so making sure that your presence has the right identity, the right summary, the right history, and all the things that we teach. And then also within assets is having a content calendar, an asset library, a connections dashboard to be able to track everything you're doing, because what gets measured gets done. And then finally, the third thing is, what actions are you going to take? There are many actions that you're taking right now that are not giving you results. And we tell all our students, taking 15 minutes a day of the right actions will get you results versus spending 15 hours a day with the wrong actions. You know this when it comes to exercise or even networking. If you just randomly just eat as exercise and chew as exercise, you're not going to lose weight. Even if you chew for 15 hours a day, it's not going to help you. But if you do the right moves, the right yoga moves, and the right positions, and the right HIIT, even for 15 minutes a day, you're going to shred your body. So you have to understand how to leverage the proactive time that you have in the right way. And there are 3 results that you want from your actions. The first result is exposure. The second result is credibility. People do business that they know, exposure, that they trust, and that they like. So you need to have conversations with people for them to like you. For them to trust you, you need to engage and understand how to do that. And for them to know you, you need to create exposure for yourself by posting the right way. Most people are posting, if they are posting against how the algorithm allows posts to show up. And me and you, I showed you, you make a simple tweak to a post in the way that you post, suddenly instead of getting 10 views, you get 1,000 views. It's crazy. The algorithm wants your post to show up if you tell it what to do. I used to build websites with just images, and then Google wouldn't even know what the website says. When I learned SEO, I learned how to put the right tags and the right keywords in the right places. I learned on-site SEO, off-site SEO. I learned how the algorithm works, and suddenly people were ranking #1 for the biggest keywords. I outranked Amazon for the word luxury watches, and that generated $5 million in revenue a year just from SEO, just from that keyword. So that was very valuable. Same thing with LinkedIn. If you understand how to do this correctly, you're going to spend less time, less effort, and you're going to get much more results.
So Joe, today is your birthday, and I'm so excited that we could spend time together on this very special day. And I had a question for you, and that is, if you could have one birthday wish granted for today, what would it be?
So every single year I think about in my life what I did the year before in order for me to be able to understand what I want to create for the future. I'd look and just to see, okay, what have I accomplished? What has challenged me? How have I inspired people? And how do I want to continue to change the world, to make the world a better place? So a few years ago, I lost 95 pounds, and everybody was asking me, Joe, how did you do it? And I did it publicly on Facebook. I did it through a very specific strategy, and I wrote a book called High Energy Secrets, How I Lost 95 Pounds and Kept It Off. I published it on my birthday. Now, I used to be a person I was afraid of writing, so I had to hire a coach, work with her for 18 months to get over my mindset issues, and then finally I wrote a book, and then I wrote another one, and I actually published High Energy Secrets, and that was amazing. The next year, I was mentoring teenagers, and my kids are all going to be teenagers. I have 5 children, and they're all going to be teenagers over the next several years. And I realized that my daughter had a bat mitzvah, and I was like, oh my God, I need to figure out a way to be able to reach out and connect. And so I started training teenagers and talking to them in schools, and they all asked me these crazy questions that my parents were too afraid to answer. So I wrote a book called High Energy Answers, the answers to questions that your parents and teachers are too afraid to answer, or they don't have the answers to. And I gave out 1,000 copies of those books to underprivileged teens. And that I launched on my birthday last year, 2019. And this year, I went through a lot of transformation over coronavirus. And there's a lot of things that happened in our business, in my personal life, and everything going on. And I needed to really be conscious. I really needed to tap into my purpose and really stay aware throughout this entire transformation and everything that happened in my personal life. And so this year on my birthday, I came out with a new book called High Energy Purpose, How to Be All In on Your Life no matter what happens. And this is a book that now I am so proud of this particular book right here, because it's one thing to be able to transform your body. It's another thing to be able to transform yourself as a teenager. But for me to be able to hand a CEO a copy of High Energy Purpose, I can now talk to a leader and be able to inspire them to be able to be more aware, have more strategy, have more accountability, and transform in life. And for that for me is my ultimate external purpose, to be able to serve hungry entrepreneurs to go from frustration to motivation. And with this book and the series of High Energy Secrets, High Energy books, that allows me to be able to do that more effectively.
That's so fantastic. What a birthday present.
Yeah, and I love it. And now when I search on Amazon, my name, Joe Apfelbaum, I see High Energy Secrets, High Energy Answers, and High Energy Purpose. And I am so excited. I'm so happy.
You are the most high energy person I have met.
Thank you.
So thankful that we could spend the time together and that you could join me this morning on your special day.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I love being in your presence. You are so aware. You are so kind. You are so generous. You're so lovely. And I love that I get to be on this program with you. So thank you, Ellen.
Opportunity Calls with Ellen Volpe is sponsored by LongIsland.com. American Business Associates is New York Metro's premier business development and networking association. To learn more about ABA, visit aba-ny.com.